Hello everyone, this is Chris
And Giovanni Minio.
and welcome to our Monsters Inc. Evolution Theory video. In this video, we will discuss the benefits and functions of the bodies of some of the monsters from the Monsters Inc. world, and speculate how these bodies would be conducive to their survival in more of a natural, pre-civilized world. The idea was put forth, I believe, by the Pixar theory that the monsters in this world are mutated humans in the distant future, which I find interesting, but we're not holding tight to this idea. I believe there are explanations for the genetic lineages and procreation of the monsters in this world. One idea is that all of the monsters we see are members of one species, and they just happen to have radically different physical appearances. This could tie into the mutation idea pretty neatly if you take into account that every human is physically different in more minute ways, like how we have individual fingerprints. Just imagine that physical distinction is more dramatic to the point that some people have extra limbs and eyeballs or whatever. This is similar to the Futurama coverage of mutants, by the way. The other idea we're following in this video is that the monsters are each part of individual species, or maybe the same species, but they are from different races with dramatically different appearances. This idea would establish that the bodies of the monsters are less random and are instead forged through environmental factors that have passed down through generations. As an example, Mike Wazowski is not the only monster that looks like that because he is part of a race of monsters that also look like him. This idea is somewhat supported by the canon of the movie, since we see Mike Wazowski's mom. So with this said, we will discuss the purposes of the bodies they have, speculate on their native environments, diets, and behaviors, and compare them to animals in the real world.
Some of these are probably going to intersect with one another. Some of these monsters are fairly similar, or will be engaging with similar ideas that we'll be bringing up.
It's like some of them are two-legged without being necessarily identical. A lot of them have similar eyes. A lot of them are just humanoid looking.
Starting with Sully, of course, he's one of the main characters. He's also probably going to be the relatively easiest one to work with, because for the most part, he is kind of just a pretty straightforward creature. He has similarities to real-world animals. In the Monsters University movie, the humans in the real world misinterpret him as being a bear, which isn't all that far off from what he is, more or less. Where some of the more unusual characteristics come in is, for one, the color scheme, which I think we're kind of gonna need to sort of disregard the color scheme for most of these, because all of these monsters are pretty random and rainbow colored, more or less.
Yeah.
There isn't really much consideration for what kind of environment this color scheme would be necessary for. So Sully being blue with purple spots, there's not much evolutionary insight to glean from that, unless we are to suggest that Sully evolved in open prairie of blue grass and bushes of purple or something like that.
Just to blend in.
Just to sneak up on a wild antelope, or I guess a wild Mike Wazowski.
I like that Mike Wazowski is the prey species to Sully's predator.
So diet for all of these is going to be weird, because part of the premise of this movie is that these are creatures that hide in closets and scare children, so they all kind of got pointy teeth, which would suggest predation, but surely not all of them can be predators, right?
Right, because baboons have fangs too.
Yeah, but Sully's got the big arms, he's got the claws, he's got less pointy teeth than the other monsters in this movie, but he's still sort of got the canines going on. He also has horns, which a lot of these monsters have horns, and they don't really seem to have any obvious function. Which again, these creatures were not designed with evolution in mind, but if we were to ascribe some kind of function to Sully's horns, it probably wouldn't actually be used in any kind of like combat capacity. It's probably display of some kind. Otherwise, unless Sully is like like battering other Sullys like a giraffe, just not using his arms at all, just swinging his body around.
See, like, I think that would be interesting as some kind of like mating or like territorial dynamic. And just on the colors too, like they are reminiscent of brightly, vividly colored birds, which it could be also a mating thing, or it could be for like, identifying each other in like some, monocolored environment, I guess. I don't know for certain. I'm assuming some birds do that as well if they're always like in just green canopies. And I have the idea of like Sully with like such shaggy fur and bright colors. Like maybe he's meant to be like a northern like tundra species. He's almost like some kind of woolly like bear, lion, goat thing.
Yeah, yeah. Like his large padded feet would sort of point in that direction as well. Bipedalism is probably going to be a recurring point of like confusion here in general, because it would suggest his hands are being used for some kind of function, which would probably be the same function that people have hands for, such as tool use and like grabbing food and the like, holding one's child, etc. That being said, that does like that does make it increasingly more distracting with the monsters that don't have hands. Then if they are also intelligent creatures.
There are like monster animals in this world too, but there's some creatures that are just, two legs and a face. And you have to wonder like how they kind of worked into society. I'd like to say too, it's interesting that Sully has bipedalism, but he also has a pretty long, distinct tail, which is something that kind of gets phased out with bipedalism, at least from what we've seen with humans. And the other great apes are similar. And I know a lot of them still utilize all four appendages for, walking around and whatnot. I guess I like the idea of, like, them being, like, this wild hunting species and charging at animals, like, on all fours. But, slowly leaning into, like, that bipedal, like, hands for tool usage.
There is Sully having forward-facing eyes, which, again, is to give him a human-like characteristic, but in this context could be indicative of like being a predatory species. Again, out on the blue prairie hunting something.
No, that makes sense. I would say that Mike Wazowski is a reptilian species. I'm getting, with the green and like the leathery skin. He also has sharp teeth and horns, but it's a major plot point, this idea that he's not scary. And I don't know if that's a physical thing or if it's a personality thing. I mean, he trains to be scary later on, so maybe they're just assuming because he's like short and like bulbous that he wouldn't be a good scarer. And I don't know if scariness entirely just 100% equates to, oh, this is a carnivorous predatory species. Because, like, herbivores on planet Earth are terrifying sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at a moose, and then you don't look at it for very long.
That's the end of it. After you see the moose, that's it.
You're just done for. So in this case, I think it'd be interesting if Mike Wazowski was maybe an insectivore, like a lot of reptiles are. I think the teeth can kind of pair well with that. I mean, a lot of lizards that eat bugs don't necessarily have sharp teeth. Like, I know just firsthand A gecko doesn't have as visible of teeth as a Mike Wazowski. But I'd like to think that Mike Wazowski is like sort of in the bottom middle of the food chain, like not an herbivore, but like, preying on bugs and like maybe like rats and things, but still below the big predators, the James P. Sullivans of this world, or maybe Mike Wazowski's from like just a different biome than Sully, where Sully's more mammalian and woolly. Mike Wazowski could be more of a jungle species or a desert species. So the eye and the shape are what I'm having trouble justifying, I think. There are species that have many eyes, and there are species that have no eyes. I mean, I'm really thinking of spiders with both of these examples, but I'm sure there's like fish that are blind, that live in caves.
The legendary poop fish that lives at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, of course.
as everyone knows.
Wandering around, that blind bastard. But like, to be egg-shaped, I wonder what a possible benefit could be. Like, in my mind, I'm just like, oh, he buries himself in the ground, maybe like to hide from other things, or to prey on things, like, ambush, predation. Maybe it's good for like rolling, going down like sloped coconut trees or something, like as a mode of transportation. The horns on the top of the head, I guess, just as a side note, look like they would be good for like protecting the eye from like down swinging attacks from like a taller predator. But yeah, I don't know how to justify a singular eyeball in terms of evolutionary benefit. Do you have any suggestions?
I mean, strictly speaking, it would, like, my suggestion would be that it evolved from a thing that had no eyes, and so it didn't really have a pre-existing two-eyed model to evolve from. So it probably evolved the singular eye in that respect. I would also put forward like something similar to a sea star or a copepod, where the singular eye comes from a lifestyle that doesn't necessarily require it having the most the most clear vision necessarily, which I guess is supported by Mike Wazowski wearing a contact lens the size of a bowl.
Oh yeah.
How that being said, the eye being such an enormous and pronounced element of his anatomy would suggest the opposite, that this creature's entire strategy hinges on it being the best at seeing things. like a tarsier or something. Like it's dedicated its entire body to an eyeball. It has no depth perception, but it's gonna see that shit in 4K ray traced.
It's interesting you mentioned, because looking at his design, it's like, yeah, like his entire body is literally built around the eye. Just his whole shape is tied into it. Like, he doesn't have a waistline. His limbs are stuck into him like SpongeBob. he has no butt. He has a cloaca.
He has a cloaca that Celia wears as a hat, apparently. It's horrible. Also,
what else would they do?
Also, there's the distracting element that this, like, Mike Wazowski is also a creature that is bipedal and has hands, which has the added, like, this thing is presumably intelligent and tool using, unless its hands are used for some other function, such as climbing on top of the Celia. to be worn as a hat.
They're actually part of the same species. They're just different sexes.
There's so
I mean,
that's what we'll go over how that's involved with when we talk about Celia. Keep doing Mike Wazowski for now.
no, that's fair. I think that's not a bad theory because they're both cyclopses, but going on. I think the bipedalism is interesting because if you follow the reptilian route, maybe he's like, maybe his species was originally some sort of like avian type reptilian, like velociraptor vibes, and they just became like this, like round, like puffin type creatures, but instead of like, feather chub, that's just his body, It's just the shape that trips me up, but I don't think I have any other ideas on that for now.
So right off, there's a lot to unpack with this one, right? So there's the one-eyed thing again, which like which again is pretty large and pronounced in Celia as well. So she's looking at something strongly, I guess.
She has 2 arms with like a thumb and then like a flat tentacle pad instead of like individual fingers, but then she has like, I'm gonna say like 6 tentacle legs, or 4 maybe. It's a little hard in this image to see.
And she's got multiple tentacle legs, which she's standing on rather like seamlessly. She doesn't seem to have any issue walking on these appendages, which I'm assuming they do not have bones in them. This is a peculiar creature. All of these are peculiar creatures. Now the most distracting and like difficult thing to grasp with is the fact that she has snakes for hair, like a gorgon.
Yeah.
But there's so much to that. Like, she has multiple heads, I guess. She effectively has an entire multiple other organisms like affixed to her.
Now, I'm wondering if it's just a symbiotic relationship between different species, because we never see them come off, but you can see like they have like rattles to them. Like you can see the end of the snake's body. It's not like it's the head, the body, and then it just connects into her scalp. So that it's just a wig.
Is it a wig? Is it a wig to hide the possible genitals on her head that are involved with her wearing Mike Wazowski as a hat?
I think it must be. It's like it's indecent to just go out with your naked head. Put something on that.
Just the corkboard and yarn in the background. It's all connecting.
Oh God! I think the wig symbiosis theory is more valid. It just seems plausible. But there are 2-headed creatures in this, so we'll have to justify that at some point, that a monster can be born with multiple sentient heads, which, like, it's not unrealistic. Like, that happens in humanity, but we have to assume that there are species in this world where that is a norm, just hypothetically, to be like, there is a species of creatures that is always born with 2 heads, and it's not just like a rare thing like connected twins are in humanity,
Right.
But we don't have to justify it with Celia unless you have an idea.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm gonna go along with the wig interpretation as well. Maybe that's a cop out. Like, alternatively, if the snakes are attached to her, um, a premise that'll come back later is the idea of a symbiosis or a parasitic relationship where the snakes, multi-headed or otherwise, like gain benefit from affixing to the Celia creature, and the Celia creature somehow also benefits from this relationship. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe if it's a parasitic relationship, maybe it just does not benefit from having these snakes present. But
Just a fashion statement.
it's just for the fun of it. It's just for the fun of having snakes, I guess.
It's like when the orcas would wear salmon hats in like the 80s. And they had like the trend going on in like the orca community.
Also, I'm seeing there's a Funko Pop of this character. Is there no character that
Is nothing sacred?
Do we need every character in this movie to have a Funko? Like, it's ridiculous.
I do find it interesting if they are members of the same species, Celia and Mike Wazowski. It would add another layer to their romance. Not that, it doesn't need to be justified anyway, but I think it's neat if there's just like this massive distinction between them in this world. I mean, it's kind of like when you have birds of different colors, like male and female peacocks, or like the massive size difference between anglerfish. Why one of them is purple and has tentacles is anyone's guess, but they at least have, singular eyeballs for looking at each other. I feel like when it comes to her tentacles and things, it doesn't really need to be justified all that much. Like we've said, a lot of these characters are just humanoid, so to go into depth on like, oh, well, the tentacles could be used for this, for walking around. It's like, well, we see her walking around like, whatever pre-civilized usage they had for like climbing and, grabbing things seems pretty inherent to just looking at her design. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
It's like, there's some situations, like we've said, where there's just like a face with legs where you want to know what that justification is, but like, for a lot of them it's just like, this is a human body with like horns and scales and whatnot. But yeah, I think I'm good on Celia, unless you have anything else to say.
No, I think that's the extent of it.
There is Randall, which I feel like because he's so popular we should like discuss briefly. I mean, I don't think there's much to it. It's just like, obviously camouflage and sticking to walls is useful. He's just a chameleon with extra legs, played by Steve Buscemi. I feel like the benefits of this is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, it could be interesting to consider that, like, lizards will just drop their tails and regrow them if they're being attacked, if they're threatened. And this could be like an expanded version of that, where, say, if the Randall loses one of his arms, he's got others to use from. He's almost like an insect or a crustacean in that way, where there's just like this excess of limbs. But, I like the idea that they might grow back. I don't have much to say else about Randall, if you have anything.
I mean, unpacking the science of turning invisible is a whole other conversation. Like, I think we have the evolutionary benefit of turning invisible set pretty firmly. Like, it's pretty self-evident. Needless to say, there isn't a whole lot in nature that turns invisible.
Right.
Like, because he doesn't just blend in. He doesn't just change color the way an octopus or a chameleon might. He turns invisible, which is insane. If I'm not mistaken, there are like There are some butterflies and I think some shrimp that, and I think a squid perhaps that have the ability to turn their bodies translucent, which is not necessarily invisibility like we see in the movies, but like it could paint a picture of what Randall's physiology is like. That he's scaly, but maybe the scales are um, on the thinner side and are able to be rendered translucent along with his innards. Maybe his metabolism slows down when he turns invisible because with animals like the glass frog, which invested in having its skin and like its body be translucent, but it can't turn its blood translucent. So the way that it gets around that is by like slowing its heart rate down to minimize circulation when it's trying to blend in.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it's possible that Randall does something similar.
I would say, too, like, in terms of the food chain, that, he's comparable to, like, a chameleon or, like, that frog where it's, like, he's... You look at his teeth and he's probably munching on, like, bugs and rats and garbage. and, the invisibility is probably to, like, ambush, but also to hide from like larger predators like the Sully, or maybe something different because he actually like fared pretty well in a fight against Sully. But also I think that they're just like from different biomes. There are giant monsters in this world we've established. Like there's the dinosaur or the Godzilla crossing the street, which we could assume is a threat to everybody. But yeah, otherwise, I think I'm good on Randall. If it's all right, I'd like to start the discussion of Mr. Waternoose because I find him pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So he's clearly this like crustacean or arachnid type crab monster with like 50 fingers and whatnot. In looking at him again, like, prior to this video, I actually realized that his design is very, like... I think it's a well-made design. Like, obviously, he's a creepy little bugger. He looks like an old, like, politician, almost. Maybe it's the outfit. But, like, he's a little deceptive, which I find interesting. And part of that is his character and his role in the story. Like, he's... like this respectable, like, boss character. Like, Randall is, like, the obvious villain because he's kind of weird and creepy. And, that proves to be true. He's not a red herring, but it goes deeper that it's like, oh, this crab guy who's, like, got a cool design. Maybe it's, like, a little creepy when you really look at it. But he's always, like, very nice presenting. He's very neat with, like, the outfit he's wearing. Kind of reveals himself to be this villain towards the end, and it freaks me out a bit, like, when he's chasing after Sully, and he's, like, scurrying down the hall, and climbing up the walls and stuff, and he's, like, keeping pace. You would assume, like, maybe he's, like, this sort of clumsy creature. You have, like, very, I just clumsy. You have clumsy bugs in the world who aren't very like dainty in their movement, like praying mantises can't walk very elegantly. But then you have crabs that can just like skitter and like run away before you can even catch them, and they clearly drew inspiration from that with like his speed and mobility. And then he's like overpowering Sully physically in the scene in the test bedroom where they're like, recording him and catching him on his scheming. So that's frightening because you see Sully and he's like this brute monstrosity that is, bested by Randall because Randall has this camouflage and this slithering sort of like work his way around and like sneak up and like catch you kind of attack. But Waternoose is very just like matching Sully's brute strength. You know, they can go toe to toe without like relying on camouflage or like slinking around. They're very directly fighting each other, or they can, because I know Sully wasn't like, they weren't like fist fighting in that scene. Mr. Waternoose was kind of, you know, just targeting and being the aggressor in that scene, obviously. But the way it has me thinking is that Mr. Waternoose is maybe some sort of like semi-aquatic species. Like, you know, a crab can go on land for a little bit, but like, you know, not too long. They need that like water and hydration. That's redundant. But you see Mr. Waternoose, and obviously he's a land species, but his design is still very like crab. And there are land crustaceans like the pillbugs, of course. But I like the idea that he, or his species, is still very like tied to the water. Like maybe they exist on the in-between. They spend a lot of their time on the shoreline, eating coconuts, like I assume coconut crabs do, or maybe that's just how they look. Do they eat coconuts?
I think they do. I think that's a thing they do.
Okay. I could see him as, you know, a species that would do that. Like they're wandering the beaches in like armor made of like maybe leather or maybe like bark and wood and large banana leaves, and they're walking around with like spears, and you know, one end is pointed to like hunt fish in the shallow waters, and the other is like a sickle to like harvest coconuts and bananas from tall palm trees. And maybe they have like some kind of, you know, warrior culture or something. The extra appendages, or the extra fingers and the extra eyes are a little interesting, because like the fingers kind of ties into the whole he's a bug thing. And I guess the eyes do too. I don't really know if they need much more justification outside of being like, well, he's a bug and bugs have many eyes if you just look at like spiders and things. Yeah, do you have any perspective on that?
I really like your premise. I really like this the semi-aquatic like gatherer people that you've put forward. My thought for Waternoose was going in a slightly different direction. I was thinking he would be like kind of like a scorpion out in the desert. Maybe the benefit of having all that like exoskeletal armor is to keep moisture in, because he lives in an environment that doesn't have very much moisture. And they crawls about on the sand. And we see he's able to move pretty quickly. So if he like spots a smaller creature out on the level sand with his many eyes, he's scampered up to it terrifyingly with all his legs, and then with his crazy grabbing hands, he's able to snatch it and eat it.
That's kind of freaky. I like that.
Yeah.
It kind of plays to like the character's cutthroat nature. He's like, I am from the desert, and now I'm going to kidnap 1,000 children to keep this company alive. He's like, I survived off of rats and rainwater.
I've suckled the moisture from the desert sand. I
chew on cactuses, and
I will keep this damn company alive.
I think it plays to like his brutal character too. I think that's a good idea. I don't think I have a lot to say about Roz. She's just a gastropod, right? She's just like a big slug.
She's kind of just a big slug. She has hands like most of these other creatures, which I can't fathom what she's grasping at.
Like,
Vegetation, I
why?
guess, like as the slug does, eating vegetation. She has teeth, which a slug doesn't really have necessarily.
Right.
She has jaws, which is terrifying to think about. A slug with jaws, a slug that bites you.
Oh God.
Um, she's munching on lettuce, I guess. Um, the the big thing, well, for one, being a gastropod, she's almost certainly eating like plants of some kind, something that isn't going to run away. It's the key takeaway because she moves very slowly. Um,
Right.
the the other thing is that like when you move that slowly, you're going to get eaten a lot. One of the ways around this, I guess, in her case, is being fairly large. She's not going to be snatched up by birds per se, but um, like there's still going to be things hunting her, which opens up the hilarious element to this, which is that um, when it comes to gastropods, their primary strategy in circumventing this is by procreating a lot.
Oh
So
God.
snails will produce enormous clutches of eggs very frequently. So there's too many snails for all of them to just get eaten. So this implies that Roz is just constantly pumping out more babies.
Mike Wazowski, I'm breeding. Always breeding.
Always breeding this one. Ugh.
Oh God.
That's why they keep her behind a desk instead of out on the scare floor.
They're like, we can't fire her because that would be discrimination, but we don't want to
She's
look at her.
she's got tenure, she's got seniority in this company, but we can't have her we can't have her shooting her eggs on the scare floor. There's too many of them. They're everywhere. People are gonna slip on them. It's
She's like always sliming the floor when she walks.
ugh.
It's also there's a Funko Pop of her. I don't know who's demanding this.
Of course, why are all these characters getting Funko Pops? Who's asking for this character to have on their desk or on their shelf?
Like, who wants this? There's also a plushie of her, which, like, it looks worse, but the Funko Pop spiritually feels worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. The plushie is so, like, deranged looking that I can only ever love it, I think. But the Funko Pops they are sterile to me. But it's interesting you mentioned her teeth. It had me thinking, because, like, the snails, they do produce, like, those tough bits. They have shells, which could be, like, a direct comparison. Or, like, Australian death snails, or whatever they're called, where they have those darts in them, which I can only assume are, like, made of the same stuff as the shells. Or, like, there's those volcanic snails that, like, absorb iron and make, like, metal armor for their bodies.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting kind of tying that into her gastropod nature and saying, like, oh, well, she doesn't have a shell, but she decided, or her species has evolved to, like, use that same kind of method to form teeth on them. And you did say for munchin' leaves, which is fair, because, like, there are sharp-toothed animals, like baboons, that will consume vegetation. And she is slow-moving, but maybe she does, like, some parasite behavior, like, going up to, like, other animals as they sleep and just, like, biting them and sucking their blood. I just think that would be a very disturbing image, and I felt like it should be said.
Open on the blue prairies, the Jake Sully, that's Avatar. James P. Sully is sleeping out on the open grass, and the Roz slowly crawls up, not alerting him awake, and slurping out his blood, I guess.
She's creeping up like... It is interesting.
That's what the arms are for.
Oh God!
for grasping onto him.
Oh, it's awful. Parasitic slug monster. It is interesting you mentioned, because there are 2 movie franchises owned by Disney with blue cats named Sully. And I didn't really realize that until now.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But yeah, so we're kind of moving into, like, side character territory now. And there's a bit of them. The first one I have here is Baby Smitty, which is also just like a slug monster with multiple arms and teeth. I don't know. Do you have any ideas what might be the benefit of this? Or is it just kind of like a done deal, like a pretty, like, standard kind of creature?
I mean, most of it's fairly straightforward. It has jaws and teeth, like, for eating things, I suppose. It has, notably, this one has, like, an inching body, like a caterpillar or something, rather than Roz, which is very blatantly a slug. So this one seems a bit more ambulatory. It seems like it's able to move around perhaps a bit better.
Seems fair, yeah. I was going to argue it might be reptilian, like a snake, because it doesn't seem like it has that same kind of like gastropod foot to move around. But
right.
It's interesting you mentioned the inching, which has that sort of like worm or caterpillar vibe to it.
The multiple arms are an odd element to this. Granted, we're not going to be saying this about every monster, because not every monster that we're going to be going through has hands, but it's a weird characteristic with this one, particularly because it doesn't look like its hands can reach its mouth, so it's not being used for obtaining food in any capacity. Like it may be used to help it amble about as it does. Maybe it's used to swim is a possibility, or like we said before, it helps it grapple on to something else, which could be anything from a tree, something relatively harmless, to grasping onto other creatures, like a Waternoose or a Sully.
Oh God. Oh no. I could definitely see this one being a little parasitic. It is a baby, but
maybe that's part of it. Maybe it evolves the appendages for surviving on its own when it becomes an adult. So it being a baby, it starts out parasitic.
It does bite Mike Wazowski too. Like it has an instinct for that. I think seeing an adult version of this would have been interesting. But other than that, I don't think I have much more to say on him. So I think Blobby is is a lot.
Just to start, just our next one is Blobby, and there's a lot to unpack here.
This description is interesting. This is from a website called Listium, which I've only ever used to find pictures of the characters from Monsters, Inc. He's a supporting role, even though he's only in one shot, and he makes the most of it. It says, life can be difficult for Blobby, who is a semi-transparent pink slimy jelly. Being careful when walking over grates is crucial, as one slip can result in all the slime dripping through, while the eyes, teeth, and hat are left behind at street level. Yeah, that's just the scene he was in. The hat isn't part of his anatomy, I have to assume. That's.
I mean, I guess we'll have to assume that. We're going to
unless it's hiding his genitals.
So, this hat was actually a genital plate the whole time. No.
Oh god. Just like Mr. Waternoose has.
Before even getting into the anatomy and evolution of this thing, it's like what is the like the accessibility like in Monstropolis that there's just a sewer grate that this guy can fall in.
Yeah, like they're not really being considerate.
Did no one fathom that this was a possibility? How many blobbies are there in this town? How many times has this happened?
There's no one like you, Blobby.
Why was he not looking? Why was he not paying attention?
You want to put a sewer grate here? Don't you know Blobby lives on the street? Don't you know this is Blobby's neighborhood? He runs these streets.
Blobby runs these streets, and you're gonna put a sewer grate here? He's gonna fall in the sewage, and how are you gonna separate the Blobby from the sewage? It's all gonna get mixed up. He just becomes
one with it. He just rolls around in the poop forever.
Oh, it's horrible.
I have never known a neighbor, a community member, or a lover like Blobby.
So first and foremost, he's made of slime. Like this is not necessarily a solid body. He's like a protoplasm or some shit.
Right. He's not even like a jellyfish. Like, there's more structure to that compared to this.
For a jellyfish, everything's attached. It's all a solid piece, even if it's a little gooey. In this case, the fact that he falls through the sewer grate implies that he is not all one piece, and is instead like a plasmodial slime mold or something. Which then opens up the question of why he has teeth and eyes then.
Right.
The eyes are a whole other conversation, which we'll probably be getting into later, about the idea that in this universe there are like independent eye organisms that like affix onto other creatures and grant them sight, with the trade-off being that it's like a parasite that feeds off the nutrients of the larger organism.
Right, yeah. And you can argue, because I know we have the big purple buff guy in mind for this, with the many eyes where he can apply them. And I think that's a similar dynamic to this. I mean, I think it could be argued. He's literally removed from his body, but like still maintains sentience with his eyes and teeth. When his teeth and eyes are left on the grate, doesn't he say like, nuts or something like that? Am I wrong? I should probably look at this scene. And
I don't remember, but we probably should have prepared.
Probably should have watched the movie.
Probably should have watched the movie before all this.
It's the same thing with the Toy Story one. I'm like, I've seen it 1,000 times since childhood. I'm gonna verify real quick. They're showing me Monsters vs. Aliens with Bob, which is also like the same thing.
It's also a slime mold creature that has an eye for some reason.
Here, Monsters Inc. street scene, because typing in Blobby won't do it. I'm not going to play the audio, because they'll probably blow me up. This is exposing me to other monsters, which I didn't... There's one where there's just an eyeball in the window of a house. I mean, that could be anything.
That could be anything.
Some of them breathe fire. I mean, I guess the benefit of that is pretty clear. One of them's Italian. I don't know why you would do that.
I don't know what the evolutionary benefit of Italian is.
Okay, so yes, Blobby, when his body descends, his eyes and teeth remain, and they are Blobby. They maintain his sentience. So, like, they have some neurological function to them. I'm thinking that this is different from the buff guy that we'll mention later, where these eyes and teeth are more of him compared to the goop of his body. Like, his brain is stored and connected to his eyes and teeth somehow. Like, he can still look and blink and speak without his goo body. But I think it's... I don't think any part of him is lesser of him than the rest of him. You know, I think it's just... He just has a very loose construction to him. So, like, this actually kind of compares to the Toy Story thing that I was talking about, where it's like, it's a colony of these microorganisms building a structure that obtains sentience, except here it's in the form of a plasma goop monster. And someone had commented, and I'm wondering if you think this is a valid comparison, saying that he would be like a man-o'-war in the ocean, where that's not really one animal, but sort of a combination of animals.
Yeah, that's sort of how the plasmodial slime mold works as well.
Benefits of this? I feel like it makes it easier for him to, like, be attacked and flee. I mean, what's the benefit of a man-o'-war, I guess is the question.
I mean, it more or less allows a colony of smaller individual organisms to form one macro organism that will give it a greater benefit of surviving against larger animals in its environment. There's also, like, with the Man of War in particular, there's, like, it's the individuals that have, like, stinging cells that the rest of the members of the colony do not have. So, but they all benefit from having those be part of the organism then, right? So in the case of Blobby, of course, Blobby doesn't seem to have any defensive capabilities, really, other than the fact that I don't think there's going to be much eating him. Maybe Roz eats Blobby.
It's all she can catch. It's starting to add up.
With slime molds, like, the benefit is would be, like, the capacity for regeneration. So if, like, so in that hypothetical, if Blobby is split into two, it makes two Blobbies. The eyes and the teeth are probably not as, like, as beneficial in that case, because that requires it all to remain one thing.
Right, yeah. Unless there's some protocol for, like, reproducing the eyes and teeth. Like, maybe there's, like, a little piece of the eye and the tooth to replicate itself, you know, present in each pile of goop that separates from Blobby, you know? So, like, Blobby is, like, the original, but then you have, like, these split off Blobbies that would maybe form their own personalities, but kind of, like, build off of, like, his original, you know, neurological makeup. Like, there's elements of that original Blobby personality in these split off pieces, which I feel like could feed into the idea that, you know, Blobby doesn't need to retrieve the body he lost through the sewer grate, because the teeth and eyes over the course of, you know, days or weeks will, maybe they have pieces of that goop and they're producing more of that. Like, maybe he'll start off as, like, the size of a basketball and grow to his original size. And likewise, the goop that he lost can become its own new blobby, grow new eyes and teeth, or, if it gets, like, washed off into the sewer, becomes, like, thousands of little blobbies or something.
Oh, that's a terrifying premise.
It literally is the 50s blob movie.
How does Monstropolis grapple with that kind of? I guess that's the thing with Roz as well. If Roz is producing like 4 billion young every week, like how does Monstropolis handle that? How what do they do about that?
You just have to, like, cull them.
I guess in principle we don't know what they eat, right?
It's like Wazowski, eat my young.
Ew. Lunches eggs again.
Oh god, this city is a fucking prison.
This city is horrible.
Yeah, I guess if, like, we don't really see what they eat. We know they drink like coffee, but it's just like mud or poop, I guess. It just comes out like a dark hot sludge.
You're right.
They just drink shit.
They're just drinking poop. It's horrible. Why is it like this?
Like Wazowski, you're gonna drink my poop. Ugh.
I was gonna say we're doing a lot to make this world horrible, but the poop coffee machine is in the movie. We did not make that up.
We just brought it to its natural conclusion.
Yeah.
I guess just to wrap up Blobby, I think the environment he might be present in, my gut kind of says aquatic because it's similar to Mana War. But, maybe he was just kind of everywhere like tardigrades or like earthworms. And, in smaller doses, like it's a small scale type creature that, eventually evolved to make bigger and bigger blobbies. And it's just kind of following that earthworm dynamic of, like it's a sort of simple organism that can, like, replicate through splitting itself. I don't think it rules out him being terrestrial. I think there's options to it.
Right.
We might as well do the other two gastropods, or other three. There's Chalubi, which
why is that? Why is that what he's called? All of these other monsters have regular names for the most part.
They're like Frank.
Yeah.
And like Jonesy, and then there's like
Harley. Chalubi, of course. I guess Blobby is a weird name too. I'm assuming he was unnamed in the script.
It's probably like Blobbert.
Yeah. Why is this one named Chalubi? Why do all of these monsters have full names except this guy?
This one says he's the factory cleaner, diligent in cleaning up slime trails. However, he's known to leave a small amount of slime behind from time to time. He is a green slug-like creature. So this is also just a gastropod with many eyes and like tentacles for hands. I don't have anything new on the top of my head to say about Chalubi. I think we see traces of him in Blobby, Roz, and Mr. Waternoose with the shape, the gross, and the many eyes.
Not really. I think we covered most of what goes on with this one. He's got the grasping arms again, so he's presumably also latching on to something, or maybe he's reaching out and grabbing lettuce to eat. I don't know if the image we're looking at, his teeth aren't showing, so maybe this one doesn't have teeth.
No, that's fair. I can't remember right now if he does or not. I do like the idea that he's just grabbing like leafy greens and possibly a cucumber to munch on. He seems like a very passive species.
He moseys about and eats kale. He's probably probably also producing 4 billion young.
If we're being realistic,
every week. That's it comes with the territory.
I think the same can be said about Spike Jonze. He's pretty much the same design as Chalubi, but he has 2 eyes and eyebrows, and I think teeth. But notably, he has spikes coming out of his back that he can like puff out like a puffer fish, and I think that's pretty neat. Like he's a weaponized gastropod, almost like those toxic Australian conch snails. I'd like to think that these spikes he has are venomous, and his coloration kind of indicates that. He has like this very bright red to him.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really like this design, if I'm being honest. Like, I think he's kind of an interesting little critter. The picture I'm seeing is right before he crawls into a child's bedroom. What do you think the scaring is like on that? This isn't really related to him as a member of a species, because it's just kind of like, this is like their day job. It's kind of like saying, well, what does a human lacking a tail contribute to their ability to produce, coffee as a barista? This is kind of an additional thing that he does now, and his prerequisites kind of help him in this role. But like, how do you think he's scaring a child if he's just slowly slithering into their room? Is he just like sitting at the foot of the bed and like puffing his spikes in and out?
Yeah. He pokes them gently at the feet and then sprays his spikes out at the threat that the child will get spiked, I guess.
Oh god. It just seems like he's gonna kill somebody.
I don't think that there is no convenient way for this guy to scare anyone without it being a mortal threat.
He just sits on the foot of their bed staring at them, going like bleh, bleh, just vomiting on them.
Are you prepared to be impaled, small child?
Or like if he's sitting in the corner like laying eggs and they just have to watch. Oh, it's awful. Just to finish up the gastropods, there's also Marge, who's just she's just awful.
Just kinda arms, and that's it.
Homie, I've been turned into a starfish, homie.
Marge, but Marge, you can't scare those children.
Homie, this is life from now on.
Homie, we have an energy crisis, homie. You don't want to be banished.
I'll crump with you, Bart. Just slithers on the floor. So Marge is interesting for many reasons.
She has a hard hat. Why do all these monsters... How many jobs require them to wear a hard hat?
No, seriously. Like, there's no... Couldn't you just give her, like, a baseball cap? So, does this imply that she has a skull?
That's a good point, actually. Does she have a skeletal structure of any kind? Or is she another slug or an echinoderm or something?
If she's like... So, she could be like a snake, but like wide instead of long, right? Like, imagine a snake. Imagine Marge.
Imagine Marge.
It's just like... If we're going off, if this is a vertebrae, it has a very short spine, and it has 2 long limbs. It has two regular limbs on either side, but the spine and the skull are just short and like fused together. So it maybe has, like, 2 vertebrae, and then, like, some kind of skull cap to hide the brain. I can only assume the mouth is, like, underneath, like a starfish, though. But if it is more of a starfish where it doesn't have, like, an actual skeleton, if it's, like, a 2-limbed starfish, I mean, you could just say that the hard hat is, like, covering, like, a soft, neurological, just a squishy brain or something, right? Do starfish have an exoskeleton? If they do, is it, like, durable, like a crab?
I mean, kind of. So, their bodies are made up of what are essentially like individual tiny shells that all interlock together.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in Marge's case, I don't know. It's hard to tell from these sort of old era, like, simple models. I shouldn't say that. These are well animated creatures, but this one's a particularly minimalist design.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, this one does not visibly have a mouth, which I think does point to the starfish comparison, that it's got some kind of opening on the bottom that it everts its stomach out from to eat things. It pries open a Sully and everts its stomach into it.
It crawls up on a Waternoose and starts, like, burrowing through to its shell with, like, a series of, like, spiked circular, like, buzzsaw teeth. And then it puts in, like, this proboscis to, like, suck out his gooey innards.
Ew.
Waternoose, like, wakes up and he's like, "Ah, get them off me!" And then he's like getting covered by Marges. He's covered with like 10 Marges.
Oh
God.
I hate it. He's got holes bored into his exoskeleton.
I can imagine Marge uses, like, the limbs to, like, wrap around his appendages, his abdomen to, like tight grip. It could be, like, suction, or it could be, like, kind of like squids, where it's, like, suction, but there's also, like, hooks on the tentacles. There's definitely, like, this swaying motion to her movement, too, right? Like, she moves her limbs forward. So it's not just, like, starfish where they have, like, thousands of little, like, suckers that kind of help them crawl. I guess we could go on to Theodore Pauly, who we kind of mentioned with Blobby. This one we found interesting. You know, the shape is obviously very, like, similar to that of a gorilla. He's got this primate stature. That seems, you know, pretty clear for survival. Like, he's like a forest dweller. He uses them to, like, climb trees. He builds nests and whatnot. Like, I'm comparing this to a gorilla a lot because of the stature, the shape of his movement.
Yeah.
The eyes are what spoke to us because he can remove and add those eyes. And you were mentioning earlier that, you know, we've, like, discussed this before, that the eyes are probably a separate kind of animal that he can attach. Like, the actual body of this animal is a blind, mouthless creature that can attach eyes to it in some kind of, like, symbiotic relationship where the eyes will burrow and connect to his brain to allow for temporary vision, and in exchange the eyes are, like, these creatures that are, like, drinking his blood and feeding off of his essence. So it's like this trade-off for his survival in some situations where, like, oh, I want to see today. I'm in a fight. I'm in a mating ritual. I better, like, give up some of my energy so I can see for this and be seen.
Right. Yeah. I'm just so, like, this is aside from the evolutionary discussion about this, but he starts the scene without his eyes, and they put the eyes on him. What was he doing prior to his job at the scare floor that he didn't need his eyes for? Where was he going without his eyes?
Like,
Why did they why did they have to, what is the benefit of removing the eyes? Maybe they're feeding on too much of his essence. He doesn't have a mouth. I don't know how he's eating.
Right, yeah. I don't know, like, oh, go on.
Maybe he's like a sea cucumber. He's got the one opening, and it's his ass. He's got to put food in his ass.
Oh, God. Yeah, honestly, because the color and, like, the skin kind of speak to that, too. I like the idea that this is, like, a terrestrial, previous sea creature. Like, the coloration, the spikes. He looks like he has bones, which maybe it's like cartilage, like a shark has or something. Or they're, like, fluid-filled sacs that make up his anatomy. And I'm wondering, like, how he senses the world otherwise. Like, maybe his skin is just... Or maybe his horns are super sensitive and receptive to, like, you know, sounds and like, the wind and touching things. And he does have not the same kind of horns as, like, Mike or Sully that seem like they'd be good for fighting. I mean, maybe these ones are, but he has, like, a cluster of these kind of narrow horns. And I'm wondering if they're, like, fleshy, or maybe they have like little hairs on them that pick up things, or maybe they work like sensitive hairs, and they're just, like, receiving information from his surroundings, like they're converting vibrations into sound the way, like, our ears do. Maybe the rest of his skin is equally sensitive because he's, you know, at least he's blind for the rest of his day.
He's got stripes on the top of his head. I don't know if there's anything really to glean about that. I just think it's worth bringing up. I feel like this is another one to bring up the coloration in general about. We didn't talk about the coloration with all of these per se, but the the dark purple is an interesting one because I do think, like, it could be, like, reflective of an environment. If there's the blue prairies mentioned before me, the jungles are purple.
That could be neat, yeah. It would kind of explain a lot of the other purple creatures. Like, we see, we see Randall is purple. I'm also colorblind, so I'm hoping I'm correct in saying that.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
And Celia is purple as well. I say with a question mark.
Yeah, that is correct.
Thank you. um, I like the idea that the foliage is purple. I feel like for a lot of these, they've been so, like buggy. We're so accustomed to those types of creatures already having such vivid colors that I think the only one that we've really touched on super deep is Sully, because we're so used to just, like, neutral colored mammals, you know? It's like when you see a blue mammal, you want to, like, dive deep into explaining that. But when you see, like, oh, it's like a green reptilian or a red gastropod type, you're just kind of like, oh, well, you know, slugs and things are already kind of like that in our world. But I do really like the idea that this is a sea pickle that became, like, a jungle dweller after the fact. And just kind of building off this, there's Joe Ranft, which is pretty much the same thing as Theodore Pauly, but, like, he's red and he only has 3 eyes. I'm just assuming they're the same species because neither one has a mouth. They have numerous eyes. They have a similar shape. I don't think there's anything different to say about this one, right?
No, it's pretty much the same thing, I would say.
Do you have any ideas about Harley Gerson? That's a man right there.
That's a thing. That sure is a thing. The legs, the legs are stanced.
He's ready.
He's ready. I don't. It feels like evolutionarily impractical to have the legs like. I guess that's not necessarily true. Like it's sort of like with the splayed posture that's like a lizard or a crocodile. They sort of have that too. In this case, he doesn't have a whole lot to hold up, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. He's mostly legs. He has a whole lot of mouth and a whole lot of teeth, and not much body for any of it to actually like feed.
Right. Yeah. He seems like a very like raw type of creature.
I'm picturing that he goes and he hunts a Mike Wazowski and chews it and eats it with his many teeth, and it just kind of sits in his mouth and he digests it there because there's not really a stomach for it to go back to.
Right, like maybe it's like a pitcher plant where he'll like get one thing in his mouth and it'll like fill with acid and dissolve it. The shape reminds me of a pelican a little bit. Like maybe he can fit a lot in his mouth. Or like a snake where they can like just unhinge the jaw and consume something that's like just bigger than them. It'd be interesting to think like if this thing had like a large prey animal in its mouth, if it was just out of commission for a bit, it just has to like sit there as the body in its mouth becomes smaller because it's so big and heavy, and like the lower jaw or like the skin of it stretches down to the ground, that he just has to like sit and wait to consume it. Just a horrible process. The coloration and the look of him is kind of giving me desert dweller vibes. I can see him like trudging across the open sand. Would you say he's like an active hunter, or maybe like a scavenger?
With jaws like that, I must assume he's pursuing something, or maybe he's like an ambush predator, like a crocodile. He's like, where he's sitting in one place and then snaps forward and grabs something.
That's the thing, because he does seem very, like, static. I don't remember the scene with him, but it doesn't seem like he can... It doesn't seem like he would go very fast in pursuing a thing. You know, like, I know crocodiles can swim, and, like, alligators. I know they can swim well, and, you know, they can even have some decent speed on land, but you don't see them running after a thing as often. And they have 4 limbs. This thing just seems like it would like waddle across the desert. But there's just so much investment in the legs being like big that I'm like, maybe I'm misinterpreting it and it's just like a really good runner. You know, it doesn't seem like very swift or aerodynamic. It looks like a very clunky shape, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
I guess ambush would be like the best solution. Like, you know, that could take the form of like the watering hole in like an arid climate, or you know, just like a jungle climate would be fair too. Or like maybe it like uses its claws to like bury itself in like softer dirt and mud, and just sits there with like its mouth perched open. I think with the idea of it digesting a creature slowly and just kind of its awkward shape, it would be more of a just a static creature, you know?
Yeah, no, I get you. We should go from this guy to Ricky Plasuski, because he's sort of the same thing.
That does seem like an ambush hunter too. Honestly, I could see their species being closer related. And having that same ambush dynamic, just with different investments in the legs. Their legs are so dramatically different, though, but their mouths stayed the same, which I find interesting. Like, one became more reptilian, and the other one has like these bug legs. But I assume that this one has to have a skeleton to it, right? Unless it's some kind of convergent evolution. Because this one also has eye stalks. Like, Ricky looks more like a slug type thing, right?
Yeah, kinda. I see where you're coming from with it. The legs, I think is most similar to like the little tube feet on a starfish or some sea cucumbers like the sea pig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where they're kind of like fluid filled, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I might be leaning more towards this being a separate species, because like they do have that mouth and like body shape, but like this, I could see this one also having that ambush dynamic, but just being more aquatic, you know, or at least amphibious. And then kind of going, I don't want to look at this one anymore. I don't want to look at him.
I don't want to look at him anymore.
Going back to Harley, there's that character from Monsters University. I think his name is Art off the top of my head. He's purple and fuzzy, and he's just two legs, but he has arms and a face.
Yeah.
And I'm given his passive demeanor, I'm gonna say he's like maybe like an omnivore or like an herbivore. He's almost giving me like he's reminding me of like a primate. You know, he seems like he'd be good at like climbing trees, but also like rolling around and stuff. I think he would like eat a lot of fruit and whatnot. I think this is like the only other mammal we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
But like,
not a whole lot of them.
It's surprising, yeah. I feel like I could picture this one being up in trees and wanting these bright colors to stick out among the greenery, you know?
Yeah, I get you.
But other than that, I don't think I really have much to say about him. There's this guy Frank who's like a bird cyclops with 4 arms. We've pretty much covered all of this. He kind of seems like a mix of Mike Wazowski and Celia, actually. So maybe he's like the third member of their species. Like it's a triple sex species. He's got like Celia's neck floof and multiple limbs. He kind of looks like Mike Wazowski.
He wears Celia as a hat.
Oh no. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together. Also, like, what is the like practical implication of having multiple arms? I think we'll get that into that with the guy who has like all the tentacles arms. The Italian. But like in theory, would this guy be better at a lot of the tasks they have around the plant or whatever? Like, he can do more things. Yeah. He has more hands.
I feel like he'd be helpful in that way. Like for like moving machines or like operating the machines. In terms of like survival, like it's probably good for like climb tree and grab fruit. He doesn't seem like a predator. He seems like a squirrel.
Well, he doesn't have
pigeon.
He doesn't have a visible mouth either. There's a lot of these guys that don't have a visible mouth. Whereas, I think from whence does the food go?
It might just be a lot of sea cucumber things. This one too, interviewee number 2 is just like, it's like 20 eyes on stalks on like a goop, or you know, like just like a reptilian structure or something.
Yeah.
And I could only assume the benefit of this is like if you lose one, you have more.
Maybe it's like a hydra where it buds, like each of these stalks could become an entirely separate guy.
That could be interesting, yeah. It could be neat if it ties into the big purple guy. Like maybe this is where he gets his eyeballs. It's like some eyes turn into new guys, but some of them are just like parasitic bugs now.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting if they're all like sharing eyes. There's another one. Yeah, there's Waxford, which is like the same thing. He's got like a tentacle type body. He has little hard hats on each of his eyes. Honestly, I don't. This one looks like a tree. It looks like a creature that would burrow its lower body into the ground like roots and kind of wait for things to come to it to eat. Like, I don't know if it would be photosynthesizing or just like eating particles from the air, or maybe it's like an ocean creature that like filtered things, like some kind of coral.
Like if that's what its strategy would be, like I don't know what the benefit of having the eyes would be then, if it's staying in one place consistently.
Right, yeah. Maybe if it sees like a predator species, it can like detach quickly and try to like float or swim away.
Maybe it retracts downward into the ground like a Christmas tree worm.
The eyes could like go inside of the body and retreat. And just kind of feeding off that, there's Stewart, which is a similar creature, except it's one eye with like Mr. Waternoose type scorpion legs. I don't know, what do you think of this one?
Like presumably it's a similar like creature, but this one evolved to amble about better by developing the creepy crab legs. It doesn't have a mouth either. Presumably it has it has the opening at the bottom of it where it everts its stomach out. But it needs to chase down whatever it is it's averting at.
That'd be kind of creepy if it's just like crawling around and plopping down on its prey.
It's gross. Maybe it jumps out at them.
It could like grab them with its claws at the bottom and then like throw them into its center mouth thing. I could picture this thing swimming in the ocean with like the claws kind of leading it, and like the eye kind of like just going like loose and wiggling in the back. And it like targets like fish and things. But I'm definitely thinking like bottom of the food chain, or not the dead bottom. You know, like it's eating like fish and stuff. Maybe it like clutches onto like whales and like eats the detritus. It could be that kind of like Marge thing where it's got like the parasitic biting mouth, and it can like grip onto things and just like chew on them and like drain their blood.
Ooh, freaky.
There's Bud Lucky, which is a lot. They say he is a monster with a lot of tentacles, and he has a purple pom-pom all over his face. There's a lot of purple. There's nothing to...
What even?
There's no eyes. He's blind.
There's no eyes, there's no mouth, there's no anything. It just has the tentacles to amble about. I guess that's not entirely inaccurate for the animal kingdom. The animal kingdom has things like that for the most part. Like maybe he is like a jellyfish or something, where he just sort of inhales detritus and crap in the air. Maybe that's what all the hair is for. Is it like traps things that float by?
No, I get that. It could be like the way whales have bristles, or like it's like this feathery, sticky type thing that catches stuff. It throws me off a bit because like the pom-pom is like making me think, oh, it's fur, you know, mammal. But like it's the tentacles that are its like main structure that are saying like this is a bug. This is a cephalopod. So I like the argument that this is like an original sea creature, and that maybe just became more terrestrial and is just sensing its environment. Like it doesn't see anything. It has an orifice for waste probably, but the food just kind of collects into its fur. There's Josh Rivera. There's also like an identical monster that's just like the Italian shop guy. I feel like this is pretty straightforward. Like he is just kind of a cephalopod. You know, I think like aquatic environment or like amphibious would be kind of interesting if he's like on the shoreline, or if he evolved to be more terrestrial, if he's like in the jungle, like climbing trees. Like he has a very narrow build. It almost looks like he has a spine to him, right?
Yeah, he's got like a central structure to him.
Which, like, in that case almost kind of speaks to, like, he is like a vertebrate species. I mean, I like the idea of like a cephalopod coming on land and developing more hard structures to them, to get this kind of shape. It is kind of like the future is wild with like the forest squids. I think we can assume he would be kind of like that.
Yeah.
I could see this one being like an apex predator type. Like, he looks squishy, but I think there's something to be said about all of the appendages. Like, he can easily grab and like bite onto prey.
No, yeah, this guy's probably very effective at like ambling about and grabbing things and probably being able to strangle them pretty effectively. Presuming that all of these things breathe, which I'm gonna assume they do.
I think the shape of them kind of lends its way to like maybe blending in with like trees or like tall grass, maybe. Sully getting ambushed in the blue prairie by giant red squid monsters and fighting for his life. There's Jerry Slugworth, who's just a guy, and notably not a slug, because we've talked about like 5 other slugs. I feel like the fact that he has he has like 7 fingers is really the only thing that stood out to me. Also, he's naked, but a lot of them are.
Yeah, no, a lot of them are naked. Not really anyone addressing that.
What do you think of the benefit to 7 fingers? I mean, there's the obvious of like, what if he loses one of them? It's just a human hand with extra,
Like in the case of pentadactyls, which is what we are. Like the reason we have 5 digits is because we evolved from something with 5 digits, and that goes back all the way to the earliest tetrapods, like the earliest fish that ambled about on land and turned their fins into hands. So like for this thing to have this many digits, it would probably be that it evolved from something with that had that many digits. That would be my assertion.
That seems fair. And what do you think of the things on his head? I mean, it just kind of looks like that early 2000s hairstyle.
They're just kind of a bunch of spikes. Maybe it prevents him from being bitten down upon, because I guess that would be a fatal blow for most creatures. To have their heads gently bit.
But they look fleshy, too. Like, what if they wiggle in the breeze?
Ugh.
What if he's touching people with them? What if?
Oh, I hate it.
What if those are extra fingers?
Oh, why?
He's like, I put them on my head.
Why does he have that?
What if they just keep growing on his hand? So like he like wakes up with 8 the next morning. And he's like, oh, that's too many. He plucks it off and he sticks it on his scalp. I don't know. I think that would be gross. There's the monster that sneezes fire. I feel like that's a pretty obvious advantage. I mean, you don't want to mess with him.
He's also got a horn, which there's it's probably evident like usage for. Yeah.
That's fair, yeah. Like, definitely, like, defense or, like fighting for territory and, like, mating and whatnot. The spikes on his head, too, like, this is a beast right here. Like, the sharp teeth. Like, I feel like this would be an apex predator, Like, and on top of it, it sneezes fire. And, like, it's played off as, like, a joke, like, an inconvenience. And it's like, no, like, this is your birthright. Like, I could see this one being, like, the first species of them all to, like, form society and, like, advance, because it didn't have to learn how to use fire, or how to make it, I should say.
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
He's like an S-tier monster.
It's an S-tier monster. They got everything figured out right away. On the same note of S-tier monsters, there's Ted, which there's so much to ask about. this guy? How does the city account for this guy? Does this guy have a house?
What does he do for work?
What does he do for work? Where does he go?
And I'm the first person to be like, you don't need to work to prove yourself as a worthy member of society. Like, you do what you can according to your ability and needs. But this is framed as a very capitalist society where there is an expectation that people are only worth as many hours as they put into the system, right?
Right.
So what does Ted do all day?
How much does Ted eat? He's so enormous. What does he eat? Does he eat other monsters?
Roz, more eggs.
More eggs for Ted. Ted
Quick.
needs more.
More poop. Because
Oh, it's horrible.
if there's just like an overabundance of poop, if there's an overabundance of Roz babies and blobby spawn, it's all gotta go to Ted. It's just gotta be what Ted eats.
All of it's going to Ted. Ted's eating all of the food. And what is he giving? What does he do? He's not packing the grocery store. He's not... maybe he's sweeping the streets.
Maybe it's like a threat, like you have to keep Ted happy.
Can he see the garbage and litter on the ground? Maybe he's a greeter at a zoo or something. Does this world have zoos? They got the weird pig thing from Monsters University.
I think they were like two-headed pigeons. Like, I have to assume there's some
Yeah.
non-human animals. None of them are human, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you.
Or maybe Ted is there for protection? Like, you know, Ted is... I would argue Ted is like an apex species.
I guess if he's the police, no one's doing anything bad.
Yeah, right? Like, he's like public defense. He's like their military all wrapped in one. It's like you better behave or else Ted will get you. Oh, God. Which kind of feeds into like that one monster that's just like an eyeball in a house, which seems like a creature that doesn't... At least in that scene, they don't leave. But I don't know. I'm assuming that they can just like walk out and like lift up their roof and leave at some point. Unless the house is like their shell, like a hermit crab. I'd like to make a note. I saw it when I was looking at the video of Blobby, that there's a baby version of Ricky Plasuski, and they're playing jump rope with its tongue. So that feeds into the ambush predator thing, where not only can it like wait and like consume, but I feel like it can project its tongue out and latch onto things like a chameleon. That's something I forgot to mention before.
It's worth addressing, yes.
I feel like that's all we have for the main Monsters, Inc. movie. We have a picture here of like all the Monsters U characters. Are there any that you want to address on this here?
The main one I feel like warrants acknowledging is the Dean, that Dean Hardscrabble character, who has like the centipede legs.
It's kind of interesting.
She also has wings, I remember, from the movie, which I have no idea how she flies with this body. A centipede with wings is a terrifying premise.
And she has like normal like arms too. Normal compared to a human.
She does have normal arms. She has a person face. I don't know what she's eating. The fucking students who don't make the dean's list.
Oh God.
Maybe the students who make the dean's list. Maybe those are the ones she's picking.
She's like, I love your intelligent brain. It fuels me.
It feeds me.
She might be an apex predator too. I mean, she's horrifying.
I guess that's the idea. She's the most horrifying one.
I'm assuming she could just like climb walls and like hang upside down. She, as convenient as it is to be a centipede, on that scale, she can just fly. Like, she doesn't really have any, negatives to her mobility, I would say.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. She can eat whatever she wants. That's the theory. She'll eat anything.
She'll just eat anything.
There's the cheerleader, like, preppy characters who are all the same type of organism. I figured they were siblings, which kind of feeds into the idea that these are species rather than one-off individual monsters. I don't really have much to say about them because they're people. There's the two-headed character, which I guess if you get one head bitten off by your centipede dragon Dean, you have the other one to keep the organism going and procreate. I mean, what other benefit could there be to a two-headed creature?
I don't know. There's not a whole lot of creatures that have more than one head. It would probably be like a budding thing where it splits off into two creatures.
It is kind of a Hydra vibe.
This guy also has like 4 arms, which again, he's capable of a lot more things. I guess Randall also has like multiple hands.
Yeah.
Which presumably would make him better at a lot of tasks.
Definitely for, like, climbing and stuff, and, like, I guess foraging. You know, I mean, because not all... Well, most lizards are bug eaters. Anyway, I mean, some of them eat fruit, right? There's, like, that video of, like, the newt licking, like, a strawberry or something.
Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't put it past Randall if he also, like, collected pomegranates or whatever with his many hands.
I like that. That's nice.
It's sweet, right? Like, he doesn't always have to be... Because he was framed as a nice character in Monsters University, played by Steve Buscemi, and, you know, I could see him being, like, omnivorous. I think we're good. I mean, the only other one I really have in mind is the librarian.
Yeah.
And she's a gastropod too, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. She's just big.
She's like a cephalopod. She's got all the tentacles.
Right, I forgot.
And she's enormous. Yeah.
Now
she's definitely a predator of some kind.
But the silence thing is interesting too, because I mean, silence would benefit a predator. You know, I know her role in this world is to be a librarian, but I like the idea that her silence is like an instinctual characteristic of her biology or something. You know, maybe she's like... Because she looks so small prior to, like, when she's trying to kill everybody in that scene.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I like the idea that she's, like, kind of lying in wait for when she sees prey. I could see her being in, like, coves and whatnot. Like, she seems like a very, like, you know, oceanic voyage type of sea monster you would come across in some kind of, like, bay or coral reef. It's like, oh no, you're shipwrecked and the giant slug squid is coming to destroy you, but it lies silently in wait, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing now that this other one, there's just, like, a worm with a pom-pom and I guess, like, feather pigtails coming out of it. That's kind of like that other guy we saw.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing, but now it's a worm.
It's filtering detritus out of the air.
Oh, God. I think that's it on my end, unless you have any I don't remember.
No, I think that about covers all the ones worth talking about.
This has been good, though. This has been interesting.
No, yeah, this is fun.
You know, just for those who are listening, if you have any monsters in your mind that you think might have some kind of weird evolutionary advantage, leave them below. I know that there's like a Monsters Inc. show on Disney Plus that I have never watched, and I'll probably never watch it. But if they introduced some kind of ghoul or cretin into the canon that we're blissfully unaware of, feel free to mention it down below.
A goblin or a gremlin or the like.
Perhaps. But yeah, this has been neat. Yeah, so that's it from us. Until next time, stay groovy, everyone.
Stay groovy.